117 colonists vanished without a trace, leaving behind only silence and a single mysterious word that haunts history. For over 4 centuries, no one has uncovered their fate, making Roanoke history's most chilling, unsolved disappearance. Decades earlier, England dreamed of building a powerful empire across the Atlantic, chasing wealth, glory, and an uncertain future. England envisioned overseas colonies strengthening its future, expanding influence beyond Europe into lands no English settlement had ever claimed. England envisioned overseas colonies strengthening its future, expanding influence beyond Europe into lands no English settlement had ever claimed. Determined to expand England's influence, fearless explorers, skilled craftsmen, and courageous families united for an unprecedented expedition across the Atlantic. Across England's bustling shipyards, sturdy vessels, vital supplies, and endless determination prepared an expedition destined to cross the unknown Atlantic. With hopeful hearts and uncertain destinies, the expedition departed England, sailing boldly into an ocean few Englishmen had ever crossed. Days became weeks as relentless storms, towering waves, and endless uncertainty tested every soul aboard the fragile wooden expedition ships. After weeks of hardship, a distant shoreline emerged through the morning mist, filling exhausted settlers with relief, wonder, and renewed hope. Stepping onto unfamiliar shores, the settlers entered an untouched wilderness, believing they had discovered the beginning of England's future. Scouting the wilderness, explorers discovered fertile land, fresh water, and towering forests, convinced this island could sustain generations ahead. Confident in their choice, determined settlers cleared towering forests and raised the first foundations of England's ambitious colonial settlement together. Day after day, sturdy homes, protective walls, and busy workshops transformed the wilderness into a thriving English colonial settlement together. Soon, curious encounters with the island's native inhabitants brought cautious exchanges, mutual observation, and hopes for peaceful cooperation ahead. As seasons changed, every settler accepted vital responsibilities, working together daily to transform.
Harvests slowly flourished, healthy families smiled, and hopeful settlers believed their fragile colony would finally endure for generations ahead.
Hope reached its brightest moment as the colony welcomed its first English child, believing prosperity would finally become their lasting legacy. Yet beneath growing confidence, dwindling supplies, failing harvests, and rising uncertainty quietly threatened. As supplies dwindled, misunderstandings slowly replaced trust, creating growing tension. As winter tightened its grip, dwindling food supplies and freezing temperatures tested every settler's courage, endurance, and hope for survival. With hope fading daily, anxious settlers gathered together, debating whether remaining on Roanoke meant survival or certain disaster ahead forever. Realizing rescue depended on fresh supplies, the settlers begged their governor to undertake one final voyage across the dangerous Atlantic. Though his heart resisted leaving, the governor promised everyone he would return quickly with food, supplies, and desperately needed reinforcements. Families embraced through silent tears, believing their farewell would last only months before joyful reunion returned hope to Roanoke once again. With heavy hearts watching silently behind him, the governor sailed toward England, unaware destiny would forever separate their lives completely. Before supplies could return, England faced imminent invasion, forcing every available ship into a desperate fight for national survival instead. The invasion passed, but the delay continued. Years slipped away as the colony remained stranded across the Atlantic without rescue. For months, the governor pleaded with officials and ship owners, desperately seeking permission, a vessel, and the means to reach Roanoke. At last, an opportunity emerged. A voyage was being organized, giving White his first real chance to return. With a vessel secured, crews gathered, and precious supplies were loaded, transforming years of waiting into a final expedition. At last, the sails were raised, and the expedition left England, carrying supplies and hope toward the distant colony.
For weeks, the expedition sailed westward across the Atlantic, battling shifting winds, rough seas, and the uncertainty of what awaited them.
At last, Roanoke Island appeared ahead, bringing the long voyage within reach of the colony they had crossed an ocean to find. The ship anchored near the island, and a small boat was prepared to carry them ashore. But as they approached the shore, something felt wrong. There was no smoke, no voices, and no sign of life. When they finally reached the colony, the buildings were still standing, but not a single settler could be seen. They searched the cottages one by one. Everything remained, but the people who had lived there were gone.
Then they found a single word carved into the timber: CROATOAN.
They examined the carving carefully, but the strange word offered no clear answer about where the settlers had gone. They searched every cottage and garden, but found belongings untouched, suggesting the settlers may have left deliberately. Most strikingly, the settlement showed no clear signs of violence, suggesting the colonists may have left peacefully. The carving suggested one possibility: the colonists may have relocated toward nearby coastal islands rather than vanished without explanation. The CROATOAN clue gave them a direction, but now they needed evidence that the colonists had actually relocated. Along the marsh, they found faint traces of movement, suggesting some colonists may have traveled farther south. They followed the coastal trail, searching for evidence that the vanished settlers had deliberately moved beyond Roanoke. The evidence pointed southward, suggesting the colonists may have followed these waterways toward another coastal settlement. The trail continued south, strengthening the possibility of relocation, but revealing nothing certain about where the colonists had gone. But the trail offered no single destination. Every waterway opened another possibility, leaving the investigators with more questions than answers. The evidence pointed toward relocation, perhaps southward, but no discovery could yet explain where the vanished colonists had gone. The search had uncovered clues, but no answer. The colonists had vanished, leaving behind only questions. The clues pointed toward a possible relocation, but the evidence was never enough to reveal where the colonists went. They left with clues, possibilities, and questions, while the fate of Roanoke remained hidden beyond the Carolina wilderness.